Hey, what's up everybody? In this video, we're going to cover the first selection box in July. And for this selection box, it's going to end on July the 12th. So there's still a couple of days for you to get these selection box zooms if you are interested in getting them. So like every single month, there are a total of 12 zooms. And again, you have about 2 or 3 days left to get these zooms if you haven't. So let's cover the first 6. So the first 6 we have Parade Mickey, Classic Mickey, Fantasmic Mickey, Musketeer Donald, Romance Beast, Happy Snow White, and then the next 6 we have Young Anna, Pete, Simba, Kristoff, Timothy, and Stitch. And overall, out of all 12 of these, honestly, they're not all really good zooms. Like, none of them you really need to have. However, if you are striving to get a couple of zooms, I will let you know what my top 3s are. But let's really think about what there is to come and why you should be saving your coins. Next selection box is coming in 9 or 10 days or so, and in that selection box there is Gaston, and Gaston is going to be one of the best zooms you could get in the game, so that's why I recommend you saving your coins. However, if you are a newer player and is struggling a little bit to complete the missions or get the bingo cards, there are actually a couple of zooms in here that you want. The first one being Parade Mickey. Parade Mickey's ability is he starts a fever right away. So if you have those missions where it's really tough to get through because you need to start like 7 or 8 fevers per game, Parade Mickey is your go-to zoom. He will start a fever regardless of what the conditions are. So even if you're already in a fever, you'll start another fever. If you're not in a fever, then you'll automatically jump right into fever even your bar is not fully charged. So that's why you should get a copy of Parade Mickey, because it will really help you with those fever missions. My number 2 favorite will be Timothy. Timothy is a bubble maker, so again, if you have those missions where you need to create a lot of magic bubbles or ability bubbles, and you're kind of getting stuck, like the tough ones are the time bubbles, or maybe like XP bubbles. Like you might need to pop like 4 or 5 time bubbles or XP bubbles per game, and you're struggling with those. Timothy is one of the best zooms for that, so get a copy of Timothy as well. And finally, my number 3 will be Kristoff, just because Kristoff is probably one of the better coin earners in this pool of 12 zooms. But other than that, I think the rest of them are mediocre. But if you are a zoom collector for the ability purposes, then I think Fantasmic and Happy Snow White are 2 that have really cool animations. But Parade Mickey also has a really cool animation as well. But however, let's go through all of them and let me show you what they all look like in all their animation. The first zoom that we're going to look at is Parade Mickey, and Parade Mickey is from Mickey and Friends. And the ability description for Parade Mickey is that he will start fever time and clears a horizontal line of zooms. So what that means for the starts fever part is that regardless if you are in fever or not in fever at the moment, once you activate Parade Mickey's ability, he will go right into fever time. So it's a little bit hard to tell because for most of this gameplay here, I was already in fever when I activated Parade Mickey's ability. But what will essentially happen is if you have Parade Mickey charged up and you're not in fever time and you activate his ability, you will go straight into fever time. And what happens if you are already in fever time like right now and you activate it, this will count as 2 fever times. So if you are playing a mission where you need to get like 7 or 10 fever times per game, Parade Mickey will count as 2. So for example, I'm in fever right now and I activate it right now again, this will count as 2 fevers. So essentially what happens is, let's say if the mission requires you to activate 7 fever times per game, essentially what that is for you just need to activate Parade Mickey's ability 7 times and you'll activate 7 abilities, so which makes it a lot easier. Sometimes it is a little difficult to activate 7 or more fevers per game if you don't have the right zoom. So for that reason, Parade Mickey is a really good zoom for missions and bingo cards. And also, Parade Mickey has a really low charge up time. You only need to clear 14 copies of Parade Mickey to activate his ability. So a very good zoom to have for coins, for ability, for missions, and for bingos. And if you could get Parade Mickey to skill level 6, could be good for coins as well. So at the end of this gameplay for Parade Mickey at skill level 3, I got a total of 1,594 coins, so not too bad for a skill level 3 zoom. I suspect that if I could get Parade Mickey to skill level 6, it is definitely a good coin earner for this game. Next, we have Classic Mickey from Mickey and Friends, and his ability description is clears Tsum Tsum randomly. And at the bottom, if you can see, I have him at skill level 2, and he clears 9 plus 9. So that doesn't really tell you too much, but if you take a look at the screen right now, the ability is being activated What happens is Mickey will dance left to right or right to left. And what happens is there's 2 different animations. And in those 2 different animations, he will clear 9 Tsums the first time and then another 9 the second time. So the higher you go with Classic Mickey, the higher the skill level, the more Tsums that he will clear. But Classic Mickey is not one of those Tsums that you really need for the game or to advance in the game. It's not really going to help you. But Classic Mickey is a good Tsum to collect and to have. I mean, it is classic after all. At the end of this gameplay for Classic Mickey, I only got 722 coins. And keep in mind that I am playing with the 5-4 and coin boost on. So definitely not a good Tsum if you are trying to get a Tsum to get you a lot of coins. And really not that great for score either. Next, we have Fantasmic Mickey from Mickey and Friends. And the ability description is similar to Parade Mickey. It starts fever time and the last Tsum Tsum in each chain clears nearby Tsum Tsum. So this one is a little bit complicated, but essentially it does similar things as what Parade Mickey does. It will start at fever time while you're not in fever time. And similarly, it is good for missions, but the reason why I didn't have Fantasmic Mickey as my top 3 is that because Fantasmic Mickey isn't really that great for coins. However, Fantasmic Mickey does have a really cool animation, and it reminds me exactly like Disneyland. Actually, both Parade Mickey and Fantasmic Mickey does. It just reminds me of World of Colors for Fantasmic, and then for Parade Mickey, it reminds me of the parade, obviously. But Fantasmic Mickey is one of those really good Tsums to have if you really like the animation. What you need to do for Fantasmic Mickey's ability is that during the animation, you still need to chain Tsums, which is one of the things I don't like. During the abilities, I just wanted to grind coins, not necessarily be connecting chains or swiping or anything like that. So during this animation, what you should do is you should chain as long as possible, see a long chain connected, and the very last Tsum of that chain will pop all surrounding Tsums, kind of like a firework. So essentially that's what Fantasmic Mickey is you're drawing where a firework should go, and at the very end it explodes. So I do have Fantasmic Mickey at skill level 3, and at the end of this gameplay, I only got 925 coins. So Fantasmic Mickey is not going to be a Tsum that's going to be great for coins, but is an amazing Tsum to have if you really like cool animations, or just if you're a collector. I think Fantasmic Mickey is definitely one of those Tsums that you definitely should collect. Next, we have Musketeer Donald from the 3 Musketeers. And Musketeer Donald's ability description is clear Tsum Tsum randomly. And actually I kind of like these kind of Tsums now because you don't really have to think. Musketeer Donald is actually a pretty good Tsum for combos as well. So if you need a Tsum that gets you a really high combo, then definitely Musketeer Donald is a really good Tsum for that. Because what happens is he will clear Tsums randomly and you are guaranteed X amount. So for me, I have him at skill level 3 and he clears a total of 12 Tsums. So during his ability, I am guaranteed 12 Tsums and that adds to the combo 12. So if you do have a mission where it requires you to get a very high combo, then Musketeer Donald is a good one. So I would say like Musketeer Donald is definitely my number 4 if I had to pick a top 4. For similar reasons, Musketeer Donald is really good for missions and bingos, but for combos, they're usually not too hard. So for that reason, it didn't make my top 3. But definitely Musketeer Donald is also good for missions and bingos. He's not necessarily going to be good for coins or anything. And I kind of like Donald's animation because he's kind of like here just yapping. In my mind, I could actually hear him just go yap, 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 yap. So kind of cool there. But at the end of this gameplay, Musketeer Donald at skill level 3, I only got 1,345 coins. So for that reason, it's also not a good coin earner. And honestly, there aren't really that many good coin earners in this selection box, but in the second selection box, there are better Tsums. Next, we have Romance Beast from Beauty and the Beast, and his ability description is that he will freeze Tsum Tsum in a U shape and clears them from the middle. So for Romance Beast, there is a 2-part animation and there's 2 things that are happening at the same time. So the first part is that there will be a bubble that will burst the center area. And then the second part is that there will be a U shape that freezes, and you will need to tap this U shape in order for you to pop the bubbles. And one of the strategy to using Romance Beast is make sure that all the Tsums are still, because take a look at here, I didn't do that, and now some of the frozen Tsums are now all over the place. So what you should do is when you're using Romance Beast, just make sure all the Tsums are settled, let the middle pop, then you should tap the sides where the frozen Tsums are, and then pop those frozen Tsums. I do have Romance Beast at skill level 4, so the skill range is large. So the frozen area doesn't change too much, but what does change is the middle area where the middle pops, and that's where the skill range comes. So if you do have Romance Beast at a higher skill level, that blast area in the middle is going to be bigger, but the U-shape should remain the same and shouldn't impact you too much. So this is a two-part game. So you may be wondering what happens if you don't pop the ice right away, and I tested that. If you're able to collect 2 Romance Beast ability back to back, you could actually chain the Tsum's ability. So what that means is you have that initial U-shape on the outside, and then it will freeze the next closest area within that U-shape. So yes, technically you could chain it and you could get a long chain combo for those missions, but there are better Tsums for that. Romance Beast at skill level 4 at the end of the gameplay, I did get 1,260 coins, so not great for coins, but still a fun Tsum to use. Next, we have Happy Snow White from the Snow White series, and her description is that she will clear all the Tsum Tsum in the center. And I feel like that description really doesn't do it justice because the animation for Happy Snow White is actually really cool. So take a look at it here. The 7 doors will show up, and then Snow White will come out in the center and then pop surrounding Tsums in the middle. So now it's not like one of those big bubble bursts in the center. Happy Snow White does clear Tsums in the center area, and it is a pretty wide range. So if you like a Tsum that has a really cool animation and is a burst Tsum and in the center, if you could get them to a pretty high skill level, it could be a viable Tsum for you to use to collect coins. I do have Happy Snow White at skill level 4, and the blast radius is large, so it's a pretty good range already at skill level 4. So one of the strategy to using Happy Snow White is really simple. Just make sure that before you activate Happy Snow White's ability, to make sure you have a lot of Tsums in the center area where you are going to be bursting a lot of Tsums. So you should wait. So definitely, for example here, I didn't wait, and look at, I was missing a lot of Tsums there. So for this gameplay, the results, you could definitely exceed what I was getting because I was trying a different strategy here, and I didn't wait for all the Tsums to settle down before I activate the ability. But if you do wait, you should definitely get more coins than I did for this gameplay. Now at skill level 4, I did get 1,744 coins at the very end here. So not that great, but again, I didn't use the Tsum properly for this example. So I think if you did it perfectly and did it right, you should break the 2,000 mark. Next, we have young Anna from Frozen, and her ability description is that she will clear a horizontal line of Disney's Tsum Tsum. And essentially, it's just like that. What happens during the animation is that young Anna will show up, and then she will clear a horizontal line, technically 2. She and her sister Elsa will roll a snowball across the screen, both going 2 different directions, and that is going to be the horizontal line of Tsum that you'll be clearing. I do have young Anna at skill level 3, and you will need a total of 17 Tsums to activate her ability. As you level up young Anna, that number will go down, so it will require less and less Tsums for you to get to activate her ability. So young Anna at skill level 3 isn't that great, but if you really like Frozen, then maybe it's good. I think that if you could get her to skill level 6, that horizontal line of bars will actually connect and become one big chain. So at the higher skill level, I think young Anna has potential to be a better Tsum, but for right now at skill level 3, really not worth it. So one of the strategies to using young Anna is just very simple. Make sure that the center area where the snowballs are going to be rolling, depending on what skill level you have her at, is where you want to make sure that there are Tsums and there aren't any gaps. In some examples, I have bubbles in that area and my chains were a lot smaller. So before you activate the ability, just make sure that where her snowballs roll, to make sure that there are going to be Tsums in those areas. At the end of the gameplay for young Anna at skill level 3, I got 1,330 coins, so not over that 2,300 threshold. So for that reason, young Anna I wouldn't say is necessarily great for coins. Next, we have Pete from Mickey and Friends. And Pete's description is that he will clear all the Tsum Tsums in the center. And I do have Pete at skill level 6. So for Pete, what his description is, once you activate the ability, he will punch it in the middle. So kind of like Mr. Incredible, the fist will come out and does a punch. Actually, the animation's identical to Mr. Incredible. Essentially, they just changed the fist and the ability remained the same. And they added a pow sound for Mr. Incredible. And Pete did get released first, so technically Mr. Incredible copied Pete, but their ability is identical. And just like Mr. Incredible, the strategy to using Pete is that you just want to make sure that the center area has a lot of zooms before you activate his ability. And Pete has a pretty low charge up time as well, so it's very easy to have many Pete's ability activated per game, and especially if you're a fast player and could connect a lot of chains very quickly. But yeah, that's essentially how you will use Pete. Just chain as many combos as possible and then clear as many Petes as possible and then activate the ability. Now I do have Pete at skill level 6, and the difference of that is that you only need 14 copies of Pete to activate the ability. So that's a pretty good thing. It's a very low charge up time, and really the lower the charge up time, the more abilities you can activate per game, which means more combos and more chains, resulting in more coins. And at skill level 6 for Pete, I did get 2,312 coins, so definitely a viable Tsum to earn coins. Next we have Simba from the Lion King series. And Simba clears all the Tsum Tsum in the center, and that's its description there. I do have Simba at skill level 6, so the blast radius is going to be extra large on the international version. So take a look at the animation here. Simba gets lifted and then pops a bunch of Tsums in the center area. So this is just one of those Tsums where it bursts in the center area, and we have a lot of those Tsums for this selection box for some reason. But for Simba, that's essentially it. So similar to Pete and all the other clear center area Tsums like Happy Snow White, you just want to make sure that the center area has a lot of Tsums before activating the ability. So the difference between Simba, Happy Snow White, and Pete really is the charge up time, but the clear radius is relatively the same. They burst a big area in the center, and you really want to just strategize to make sure that there's Tsums in the middle before you clear it. So for Simba at skill level 6, I did get 2,150 coins, still below that 2,300 threshold. So for that reason, Simba even at skill level 6 isn't that great for coins. So for that reason, I wouldn't recommend getting Simba for the purpose of getting coins. Next, we have Kristoff from Frozen. Now, Kristoff's description is that he will clear a horizontal line of Tsum Tsum, and I did have Kristoff as my number 3 Tsum. And the reason for that is out of all 12 of these Tsums, Kristoff is the best coin earner out of these 12. So for that reason, he is my number 3. But I would say like between Kristoff and Musketeer Donald, both of those are interchangeable for number 3, because I think both of them have really good potential depending on what you need. So if you need a Tsum that's going to get you a lot of coins, then Kristoff is good. But if you need a Tsum that's good for combos, then Musketeer Donald is a better option. So let's get back to Kristoff actually. So for Kristoff, one of the strategy to using Kristoff is you just want to make sure that the center area horizontally has a lot of Tsums, because the longer the chains, the more coins you're going to get. And if you are using Kristoff, it's really for the purpose of getting a lot of coins. So you just want to make sure that every single ability clears a lot of Tsums. And for Kristoff, in order for you to fully charge his ability, you only need 16. So that's a lot less than Parade Mickey and all the other Tsums that we have right now. So that's probably one of the reasons why Kristoff gets you a lot of coins, is because you could activate a lot of his abilities back to back. Again, I will caution that if you are trying to get a really good Tsum for coins, you may just want to wait for the second selection box, because Gaston is coming, and Gaston is rated number 2 for coin earning, interchangeable with Beast depending on what your strategy and gameplay is. I will have another video for Gaston later on this month, but stay tuned for that. For Kristoff, at the end of this gameplay, I did get 2,871 coins, which is the highest for all 12 of these. So for that reason, it is my top 3. Next, we have Timothy, and Timothy is from the Dumbo series, and his ability description is Magic Bubble appears randomly. And I do have Timothy at skill level 6. So what happens at skill level 6 is that he will create 6 magic bubbles on the screen during his ability. Now these aren't just regular magic bubbles with nothing in them. These magic bubbles sometimes can contain abilities, so you may see time bubbles, XP bubbles, score bubbles, or maybe just a basic bubble. So there are different bubbles that will come up. And the reason why Timothy is my number 2 is in the game sometimes it could be difficult to create a certain bubble that you're looking for. We may get those missions where you need to create a score bubble, a time bubble, an XP bubble, and really Timothy covers it all, because Timothy creates a bunch of those magic bubbles, They're random, they're not selected, but if you can activate maybe like 5 to 6 of his ability, I'm certain that you'll be able to pass those missions. I mean, he also makes coin bubbles as well, so he makes all kinds of magic bubbles that have abilities in them. So for that reason, that's why Timothy is my number 2 out of these 12. Timothy is definitely not great for coins, so don't think that Timothy is number 2 because he's really great for coins. It's really for me to just recommend this to you to enhance your gameplay for future missions and bingos. And sometimes I know when I first started, it was a really big struggle to get through a lot of the missions and the gameplays, but with Timothy, it should help you with those bubble missions. At the end of the gameplay here for Timothy at skill level 6, I only got 798 coins. So as you can see, Timothy, not great for coins, but again, very great for missions and bingos. And finally, we have Stitch from Lilo and Stitch series. Stitch's ability will clear a vertical line of Tsum Tsum, and one of the strategies to using Stitch is that you want to just make sure that the center vertical area has a lot of Tsums and that you're clearing as much as possible. That's really the strategy. At skill level 6, the skill range is extra large, so it does clear a decent amount of Tsums, and you just want to wait until all the Tsums are settled before activating the ability to maximize your chain, therefore earning you more coins. But even at skill level 6 for Stitch, I only got 2,052 coins. So Stitch isn't really necessarily the Tsum that you want to get as much coins as possible. There are better Tsums out there. But Stitch is a really cute character to have, so for that reason, you could get Stitch. I do have Stitch maxed out here, so if you're wondering what the score earning potential is, you could skip to the very end here. I do have Stitch at level 50 and skill level 6. But at the end of this gameplay, for Stitch, I only got 2,052 coins. So I am also playing with the 5-4 and coin boost on, so not going to be worth it for getting coins. So that's pretty much it for this selection box. I will be doing another video for the second selection box, which is a lot more exciting because Gaston is in that box, and Gaston is a really good coin earner, and you definitely should be trying to get Gaston if you don't have a good Tsum for coins yet. So that's pretty much it for this video. I hope that you guys found this video helpful for reviewing all 12 of these Tsums. Let me know in the comments below if you are planning on saving your coins for the second selection box, or are you just gonna try to get more Elsa and Bruni. Both options are great, but if you are a player that don't have a good coin earner yet, I do recommend you to try to at least get Gaston. I do believe Elsa and Bruni will come back relatively soon, maybe during Christmas or something. And also, if you haven't subscribed yet and would like to see more demonstration on Elsa and Bruni or a strategy on how to use Gaston properly, I will post that video once Gaston gets released, so stay tuned for that. And don't forget to scroll down and hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. And as always, thank you so much for watching.